Though it doesn't always look like it when viewing a web page, the browser displays each of our HTML elements as a box. A section element is a box. A div element is a box that could be within the section box. And a paragraph element is another box that could be within the div box, and so on. We use the CSS box model to set the size, position, and other properties of these boxes. Understanding this box model is key to using CSS for laying out our web pages. Block elements, such as headings, paragraphs, and divs, typically generate a line break to separate the blocks. By default, block element boxes stack up one on top of another. In this example, the heading boxes stack, as do each of the paragraph boxes. Inline style elements, such as span, flow in line, stacking the boxes left to right. In this example, our span box flows within the paragraph. Looking at the above example, we see that our anchor element boxes also flow left to right. Every element box is made up of 4 parts. The content is the actual content of the element, such as text or an image. The border defines the edge of the element's box. In this example, the border is 10 pixels. The padding is the space around the content within the element's box. In this example, the padding is 12 pixels. The margin is the space around the element outside the borders of the element's box. Here, the top and bottom margins are 24 pixels, and the left and right margins are 0. Let's talk more about each of these parts, starting with content. The content is the text or image displayed on the page. We adjust the size of an element's content using height and width properties. However, most inline elements, such as span, ignore the height and width properties. The border defines the edge of the element's box. It has properties such as border width, which defines the size of the border. We set that size in pixels with EM or with a keyword such as thin or thick. Border color, which sets the color, and border style, which defines how the border appears, a solid line, dashed, dotted, and so on. Note that the border style defaults to none. That means the border isn't visible unless we set a border style. I've made this mistake several times, setting a border color, then wondering why the border doesn't appear. So don't forget to set the border style. Border also has a shorthand property to define each of these settings with one property. There are also properties to adjust each border side differently. We can use bottom, left, right, or top. The padding is the space around the content within the element's box. Think of the padding as packing material around the element contents. The padding width is set using top, right, bottom, and left, or we can use the shorthand padding property. When using the shorthand property, setting all 4 values sets the top, right, bottom, and left in that order. To remember the order, start at the top and go clockwise around the element. Using the shorthand property to set 2 values sets the top and bottom, and right and left. Setting the padding to a single value sets the same size on every side. We can set the padding size in pixels with EM or as a percentage of its parent element's width. The margin is the space around the element outside the borders of the element's box. The margin impacts how the element is spaced out from the other elements on the page. Just like the padding, the margin width is specified using top, right, bottom, left, or the shorthand margin property. The shorthand property works like the padding. Setting all 4 values sets the top, right, bottom, left. Setting two values sets the top and bottom, and the right and left. Setting the margin to a single value sets the same size on every side. We can set the margin size in pixels with EM or as a percentage of its parent element's width. Margin also has an auto setting, which means the browser picks the margin. Often the browser will define equal margins, effectively centering the element, though not necessarily centering the element's content. Ready to try these out? Let's do that next. If you are enjoying this course, please like and subscribe.